Yo, 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 yo. Welcome to Otaku Talk. It's me, your boy, your host, OD, and today we'll be reviewing and analyzing chapter 226 of Dr. Stone. Not gonna lie to you, I've been super hyped for Dr. Stone recently. I know I was getting nervous because of how quickly, it had progressed, but I've honestly, I put that behind me. I've gotten over that. During the time, it just sucked because, I was like, man, I wanted XYZ to happen. But now that we're in space, I'm just kind of along, enjoying the ride, along, see what's going to happen next, get to the moon, find out about Y-Man, see how we interact with Y-Man. There's still plenty of story left to be told. So, I have no issue currently. And based upon like the last couple chapters, they've been really fun and interesting. They've been adding suspense, turmoil, some twist here and there. Things aren't going to be 100% easy. And, our crew, I guess, I didn't want to say crew, I say crew for One Piece. Our crew is going to, our science team is going to figure out how to tackle these obstacles. Like, it's one of those situations where anytime you watch something, that the protagonist or whatever is going to prevail or succeed, but we don't know how. And it's even more prevalent in this kind of series where everything's supposed to be rooted in science. So like, I'm just always curious to, like, when there is a problem or when they do need something, okay, Senku, what scientific thing are you going to come up with or utilize that like exists in real life that you're going to apply to this that I can just nerd out over? So anyway, if this is your first time on this channel or you've been here before but haven't done so already, would greatly appreciate a like, share, and subscribe. Would mean the world to me. Anyway, without much further ado, let's get into the review. All right, chapter 226, A Small Step. All right, guys, I need help here. I am super confused. So anyway, after the events of the last chapter, the electrical circuit board was jacked up. We couldn't use the display monitor. It was affecting our ability to dock. It was affecting our ability to communicate with, home base, and all that. And luckily Risui showed up, helped by turning himself into a human gyroscope, helped dock. And now in this chapter, he's giving them a new circuit board or whatever to replace the damaged one with. So that problem is all solved. This is where I get confused as hell. From what I'm understanding, they sent him up afterwards. And I'm lost because based upon the timetable of the last chapter, it kind of seemed as though during the moment when they first found out about it, like, and they were just trying to dock and figure things out, like right after, time-wise, like Risui like sprung into action, like, I'm here to like help. I stowed away. But from what they explain in this, and I'll put the part up because I really need some help. From my understanding of what they're trying to say is they were all on Earth when, Senku and them were talking and relaying on the communications that, one of the circuit boards was jacked up. They don't have visuals on the monitor. They can't hear, ground control or whatever. Like, that's when they were like, okay, bet we're going to create, or maybe they had it lying around, another circuit board and send it up on one of the ships, right? And I was like, okay, but the timing just seems so off if it happened that much later. And then also it seemed also like the people on the ground were surprised that Risui snuck aboard. And I was like, how is that the case? Because like yeah, cool. You sent up a circuit board on a one of the one of the parts of the ships, right? But how would they have been able to dock once again if they couldn't use the monitor without Risui? So I'm not gonna lie, I'm very very lost on this explanation of what happened. I do understand the whole like Risui stayed ready to come with them, like during the whole during the whole time after he was replaced by Stanley, he kind of went into understudy mode. And understudy is really important because like the show must go on, right? And anything can happen to, the lead character. Anything could have happened to Stanley. So I respect the fact that even though, he wasn't going to get his way, he wasn't going to fulfill his desire, he kept training anyway. He kept himself ready, which is something I think as humans and people in general that we don't do enough and that we should do. Whenever we miss an opportunity, we really do kind of say, all right, fuck it, I'm done, and kind of just, check out. And I do love and respect the fact that, like I said, I said it last review, like I've cemented him as probably my favorite character in the series, that he decided, you know what, no, I didn't get it, but, I'm going to stay ready so I don't have to get ready. And I felt with that really hard. Like that was a really cool thing. And it honestly led to him being able to save them and becoming one of the most important people in this story so far. But once again, still super confused on like the logistics of when he got sent there, if they just happen to have an extra circuit board, if we just didn't get a good grasp of how much time had elapsed in space, and maybe that's why I'm confused. Why anyone on Earth would be surprised, because wouldn't Risui have been missing for a while? Wouldn't they have needed someone to help kind of dock the ship? Even though I guess they never even realized, even with someone to help dock the ship, they Risui made up that like human gyroscope thing on the fly. So I don't know. I digress. Anyway, with Rusui now along for the ride, that changes the parameters of the journey quite a bit. His brother Sai is gonna have to recalculate, the way the life support, even though, for the remainder of the trip, for a portion of the trip, Risui decided to petrify himself. I guess a lot of them repetrified themselves. There was a lot of things that was happening like in between panels that really confused me this chapter. Like there was a point where Kohaku was petrified again, and I was just so lost because I was like, okay, what was the point of depetrifying her in the first place? And I quickly answered that, and basically my headcanon is they depetrified in order to reattach all the rocket ship parts in space. Because, that makes sense, right? Like, okay, someone had to have done it. And I guess, maybe Senku wanted, Stanley and them to like stretch their legs a bit to get to enjoy, being in space. Like, I mean, they would get to enjoy being in the moon and seeing space from there, but getting to see space from the rocket ship out the windows, blah, 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 blah. All right. And then once the docking is done, repetrify ourselves till we're back at the moon, and then depetrify ourselves. Even though I kind of high key feel like at least one person at all times should have been depetrified, just in case, I don't know, there's a meteor or something in space, or just something else, another circuit board breaks. Can you imagine if, well, I guess the circuit board didn't do anything that dangerous except make it so that they couldn't communicate. Well, they could communicate, just couldn't hear communication and couldn't see on their screen. So like, it's not like anything failed with like the rocket boosters or anything like that. But if it had, I think it would have been really valuable to have someone like up to kind of try to tackle that, even though I guess there isn't much they could have done in that situation. But whatever, I digress again. So that seems to be the case why they did that. So yeah, Sai has to recalculate, do the math now that there's an extra person on the mission. I guess it seems like Risui has reclaimed the like position of pilot of the rocket ship, which I guess no one has any qualms about. Like, this dude saved all your lives, so I guess he gets what he wants, desire after all. I like how they say desire is noble. Like he really is pushing that narrative, and I'm really buying into it. Arisu is such a cool character. And yeah, we learn more about, we learn a little bit more of the science they're using here, how, ground control is keeping track of where Senku and them are. They're using the Doppler effect. That's something that I'm actually was super cool and interested in learning about. It's something that I learned about in physics. I actually learned how to use like math to calculate the distance of something utilizing the Doppler effect and stuff like that. So this was actually something that I kind of understood and grasped. So I really like those moments in this series. That's honestly, like I've said since like my first review, that has really like attached me to this series. Just the fact that like it makes science interesting. It's kind of like cells at work. Like, that there's going to be, liberties taken and things aren't going to be one for one, science wise, but it makes it fun. It makes it it gives you a nice little way to, look at things a different perspective and just put a different spin on it. Because, science, unless it's your passion, it can be boring. It can be overwhelming. But when you see it in this kind of format, like I really like it. And I do think that this is a series that if younger kids get into, it could create a lot of scientists. So I think that this series has a lot going for it. Anyway, after all that, 3 days later, they're at the moon. So it looks like next chapter they're going to actually no, they landed this chapter because they landed this chapter. They take their first steps. There's a whole funny, hilarious scene where they're like, all right, what are our first words going to be? And my boy Taiju just completely rips off, Lance or no, Lance Armstrong or Neil Armstrong. I always get them. Oh no, I did that thing. I forget who it is. I forget who it is. Who is it? Who is it? Wow. Oh wow. Embarrassing brain fart. And you know what's funny? I could edit this video and just fix it so I see like a 5 head, but no, I'm just gonna let that run. So yeah, they're finally on space. Their spaceships on the moon. Their spacesuits look phenomenal. And now I guess it's time to explore that dark area Kohaku initially saw on, the monitoring screen when they were on Earth. And it looks like I don't think we're going to run into Y-Man next chapter. I think we're either going to spend a lot of time just like enjoying the moon's surface and like, building some tech to help us, locate Y-Man's hideout. Or we're going to find Y-Man's hideout, but for whatever reason, we're not going to be able to enter it. Or we're going to find Y-Man's hideout, but he's going to have booby traps in place, maybe some Medusas that go off. However, thanks to our new watches, that they're going to be able to, escape them. Personally, if I were them, I would be mad paranoid the entire time and just have my what's that shit called? The resurrection watch that they all now have set for like to deploy every fucking like hour or 2 hours or like some reasonable amount of time, right? I also wonder how much revival fluid they brought because, at the end of the day, those watches are relatively small. So, it can't be used too many times, in my opinion. I also think it's kind of funny, like how the resurrection fluid has evolved. Initially, like you had to splash a bunch of it on you, and there can't be more than, a couple like tablespoons of like revival fluid in those watches. So anyway, I don't know. Maybe it needs one drop to work. Like there was that scene where Senku did drop like a bit on the bird and the crack in the merge. So maybe I guess you just need one drop and like, dousing people in it was for, effect or whatever. So yeah, we're here now. And I really do like something Senku said. Like when we first, set foot on the moon, the stakes weren't that high, right? Like it was honestly about some prideful, petty stuff. We just wanted to be the first amongst the other countries, show other, other countries, show other countries our power, what we're capable of, what we can do. We wanted to win the space race. It was for propaganda back home. Like, oh my God, we got space first. We're the shit. Yeah, go America and stuff like that. And honestly, the space race did so much for us. Like it is responsible for the technological boom. Like it's responsible for cell phones and all the and like touchscreens and all the other thing like amazing things we have. But like Senku makes a point to say, unlike, you know, the first time we landed on the moon, the fate of humanity rests on that. We like getting to the moon wasn't vital for humanity. Or at least not at that time. I think it's gonna space travel will be vital for humanity in the future, especially with, you know, how we're like raping the planet of its resources and destroying it, and we're gonna have to like, you know, go outward for stuff. I've also always wondered about how trash disposal works. I've never been curious enough to do like a deep dive of research. I do know that, you know, there are trash islands and sometimes it gets burned, but I always wondered why we don't like make a point of like, I don't know, sending it into space and making it someone else's problem, like hurling it into the sun. Like that seems like a great like conservation method. But no, I know obviously that's stupid and there's reasons we can't do that. And recycling's the better move. But yeah, anyway, I'm getting off topic. Great chapter, really enjoyable. Once again, I am really confused on the Risui situation. So if someone in the comments could like address that and let me know what you think. What do you think is going to happen later on in this chapter? Like Senku said, you know, if they fail this mission, like humanity is doomed. Like we're screwed. That's the end of it. But if they pass, you know, we're going to learn a lot more about the Medusas. The future, as we know it, is going to change. I wonder if like a lot of you who have been following me know I've been talking about this a lot, how I would love like an epilogue where we get to see like the rebuilding of the world. And I think it would be cool because I think it would be a mix of like Stone Age shit, because, you know, we can't quite, you know, just rebuild everything all over again immediately. So it would be half and half, like Stone Age shit, but like also mad futuristic shit. And it would be like really cool and like disjointed. And I was wondering if maybe, you know, maybe Medusas become medical technology that we use, or we use it for like testing things, or like, you know, we try like, you know, poisons or like vaccines and medicines on people, and then like shit's not working, and then we revive them, or we use it for like people with terminal illness. Like there's a lot that could be explored here. I don't know if the mangaka wants to go that direction or not, but it is a possibility. But anyway, I'm gonna leave the review here for today. Thank you guys for watching. This has been Otaku Talk with your host OD. Take care, have a great night, and I'll see you next week. Peace.